brand new Survivor Challenge. You'll be the first person to win it.
Hey, I've seen that one before. One thing I love about Survivor is that they are always trying new things. Are these things often good?
A fire token. Edge of extinction. We'll have a chance to get back in this game. Grab your torch, head to Redemption Island.
It's a mixed bag. At the very least, Survivor is original. Except sometimes, US Survivor likes to cheat on their homework. Sometimes they take a sneaky peek at what international versions of Survivor have been doing, and jot down the answers real quick. As long as the teacher isn't looking, is it really that big a deal? Well, guess what, Jeff Probst? You've got a substitute teacher today, and I've been looking real hard. I'll be looking at times US Survivor has drawn inspiration from international versions of the show. I'll mainly be focusing on English-speaking versions of the show. Australian, South African, New Zealand, UK. But if a fun fact shows up, we might even branch out to some non-English speaking versions. This is possible thanks to SurviveR, linked in the description, and the Survivor Wiki, allowing me to cross-check some of the results. For example, this challenge is called Planks-A-Lot in US Survivor, and it's called Planks-A-Lot in Australian Survivor. These are two different challenges. We'll be looking at advantages, twists, and challenges. Let's start with advantages. There are only two instances I could find of US Survivor directly stealing an advantage from international Survivor. First is the Idol Nullifier, first introduced in Australian Survivor 2017. Now, I hate the Idol Nullifier. I think it is a no-skill advantage. You just play it if you want someone you're targeting to go home 100% of the time. For the Australian Survivor version, even more no-skill. Just play it after your target plays an idol. I think the version introduced in David vs Goliath is much better. Well, marginally better. I still don't like it. The other advantage is Safety Without Power, first introduced in Australian Survivor Champions vs Contenders 2. Or was it? Look at the filming dates for this season. Now look at the filming dates for Island of the Idols, in which the advantage was offered but not chosen. I don't actually know how producing a season of Survivor works, but it looks like two people had the exact same idea of an advantage, implemented them on their respective versions of Survivor at the same time, and that's just cool to me. Also, I feel really gaslit by both the Wiki and SurvivorR, because they don't list Safety Without Power as a Champions vs Contenders 2 advantage. But it's right there. He plays it. What am I missing? That's all for advantages. Let's move on to challenges. The challenge Will It Go Round first appeared in Australian Survivor 2016 before being used in Survivor Heroes vs Healers vs Hustlers. Now I know you're thinking, and you're right, they didn't have a beam in Australian Survivor. That's another good example of US Survivor taking something and tweaking it to make it slightly better. Interestingly, Survivor South Africa Philippines then took the US version of this challenge for their season. It came full circle. Next up is Ringleader, first appearing in Australian Survivor 2017 before being used in Survivor David vs Goliath. I find it funny how Australian Survivor has all of these amazing challenges, and US Survivor is like, yeah, let's spin an object in a circle. Nice. They could have chosen the objectively hilarious Charades challenge, and they chose spin stuff in a circle. That's all the challenges stolen from Australian Survivor, but you guys are not ready for South African Survivor, which has been going since 2006, what the heck? You guys remember getting tanked, right? I got tanked all the time in college. It's that challenge from Survivor Nicaragua where they had to direct water down pipes. It actually first aired all the way back in 2006 in the first season of Survivor South Africa. The challenge wasn't exactly the same, but they are guiding water down tubes to reach an end goal. Anyone remember that challenge that almost killed Russell Swan? And then they decided, yeah sure, we'll keep bringing this challenge back, it's probably perfectly safe. It actually first aired in 2007, Survivor South Africa Malaysia. The previous challenge was a bit of a stretch, but I feel like there's no real argument here. Aside from the blindfolds, these challenges are the same. Do you think CBS was aware of South African Survivor back in 2009? Or did two people both have a good idea for a challenge and decide to just roll with it? If you're in the US in 2009, let me know how readily available South African television was. It certainly wasn't readily available in the New Zealand. And the challenge pyramid scheme, first appearing in Survivor Ghost Island, actually first appeared in Survivor South Africa Malaysia. I was going to chalk this up to just similar puzzles, but actually both times contestants had to swim out to get the puzzle pieces first before solving the similar puzzles. Ghost Island didn't air until 2018. Survivor South Africa Malaysia aired in 2007. Is this some sort of international Survivor agency that keeps all of the versions in contact, or is this another really fun coincidence? Survivor Korong was the first appearance of the iconic challenge This Much. You may be thinking, I've seen this in Australian Survivor. But Korong was filmed in 2015, over a year before it aired thanks to Second Chance's shenanigans. Also, it wasn't until Australian Survivor 2017. So that's a double moot point, Mr. Strawman you. But you know what featured this challenge over 5 years before Survivor Korong? Survivor South Africa Santa Caroline. That's right, over half a decade beforehand, we had Nico talking about prisoners being tortured on the island the contestants were competing on.
Imagine what those prisoners went through on this island, back in the day.
Way to keep it light there, Nico. If you really want to be pedantic, this challenge may actually be from French Survivor, Koh Lanta, but I've never seen it and I could not find any footage of it, so we'll give credit to Survivor South Africa for now, but if you are French, let me know. The challenge Dizzy Gillespie was also first used as a reward challenge in Survivor South Africa Santa Carolina. US Survivor opted to use it for a loved one's visit in Survivor Caramoan. Brenda, no! And we now come to my least favourite challenge name, Squatty Probst. Half of the Survivor fans don't even know challenges have names, and they decide to name them things like Squatty Probst. Anyway, this challenge debuted in Heroes vs Healers vs... Wrong! It was actually the final immunity challenge in Survivor South Africa Champions. Until now, I've been a bit iffy about any challenge borrowing, whether it's just a coincidence or not, but this season aired in 2014, is actually in HD so it doesn't look like rubbish, and it was probably pretty iconic in the Survivor South Africa sphere. It's pretty safe to say they took inspiration for this one. And also all of the ones they took from Australian Survivor. And that's the last challenge US Survivor stole. Borrowed. Borrowed. Interestingly, they stopped borrowing challenges right as the new era begins. It's almost as if they're just recycling the same few challenges over and over and over again. And we're getting sick of it. I did also check all 3 versions of UK Survivor and both seasons of Survivor New Zealand, but sadly, nothing came up. There's probably never going to be a good chance for me to talk about Survivor New Zealand on this channel, is there? But I have a lot to say about it when I do. I will say a fun connecting theme for Survivor New Zealand is that it also has challenges that just fall apart. Just like Australian Survivor, and just like US Survivor. Has US Survivor borrowed any twists from international versions? I scoured the wiki because SurviveR doesn't actually have any data on twists. And yes they have. Season 41 was not the first short season. Survivor South Africa Panama was only 29 days long. You may be thinking, that's still too long. That's 3 extra days on the new era. Survivor South Africa Malaysia, 27 days. That's 1 away from 26. Probst saw that and went, perfect, we can cut the budget. Survivor South Africa Panama is a bit of a trend setter. First season to feature a sort of redemption island. Contestants who were voted out competed for a chance to re-enter the game. It was a one-time moment, unlike Redemption Island, and the Outcast twist does predate it by a few years, but the format is very close to Redemption Island, which wouldn't be seen on US Survivor for another half-decade. And did you know the original Redemption Island format actually comes from the Filipino version of Survivor? Again, I have no footage of this. But while we're talking about Survivor Philippines Palau, let's talk about the Survivor auction. In Survivor 45, contestants competed to earn their money, and in Survivor Philippines Palau, it's basically the exact same except they're collecting rocks instead of bamboo. hopefully Survivor does this for Survivor 46. Wait, they're not doing an auction for Survivor 46? Aww. And this twist hasn't happened in US Survivor yet, but I feel like Russell would really like Survivor South Africa Santa Carolina, because
America needs to have a percentage of the vote.
yeah, they actually did that. If anyone watching wants to start Survivor South Africa, just start on Season 6. You'll thank me for it. And if you want to talk about the biggest twist of all, Survivor's actually based off a Swedish TV show called Expedition Robinson. I may have given US Survivor a bit of a hard time this video, but if we did the reverse, the video would be 4 times as long. Almost everything in Australian Survivor, South African Survivor, UK Survivor, and Survivor New Zealand comes from US Survivor. And the fully original stuff? Well, maybe we shouldn't give US Survivor such a hard time. But let me know what stuff from International Survivor you'd like to see US Survivor implement. I personally really want that idol you could play in secret from Australian Survivor Brain vs Brawn. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe so I know to make more stuff like it. I've been Henry Hickman Survivor, and I'll see you at the next challenge. Holy shit, my outro made sense for once.